Stones that remember. By the time we reached Vernal, the storm had rinsed the world clean. It was just after 4, and we were drifting down the town's main street, scanning for a place to eat when something caught our eye. A building of glass and stone that seemed to glow from within. The desert had rerouted us again. The Utah Field House of Natural History rose like a beacon, its entrance framed by ancient bones and the promise of deeper time. We pulled in without discussion, as if the land itself had nudged the wheel. Inside, the gift shop shimmered like a trap for wandering souls, shelves of minerals, fossils, and strange glowing stones. But knowing the museum would close soon, we forced ourselves to stay focused. Or at least we tried. An employee pointed us toward the short film that was about to begin. We walked confidently in the wrong direction and found ourselves staring at artifacts instead, unlike the Pioneer Memorial Museum where we surrendered to chaos. This time we were determined to start at the beginning. So we retraced our steps as if rewinding a tape and slipped into the small theater. The film was brief but mesmerizing. Bones emerging from the earth grain by grain, the delicate work of uncovering a world that had been asleep for millions of years. When the lights came up, it felt like we had been initiated. We stepped into the exhibits in the proper sequence, and the museum opened itself like a storybook carved in stone. A massive petrified tree trunk stretched across the room, a monument to forgotten forests. Nearby, delicate leaf impressions were pressed into rock, shadows of plants that had vanished long before humans ever breathed. In a darkened room, minerals glowed with their own inner fire, as if the earth had swallowed starlight and never given it back. Through the museum's towering glass walls, full-sized dinosaurs, mammoths, and ancient reptiles watched us from the courtyard, silent guardians of deep time. But I was restless. My attention kept drifting back to the gift shop like a compass needle finding north. I knew exactly what I wanted, the small bags of gems and fossils I'd seen at the cashier's desk. Not just for me, for my husband, for our companion, and for my friend's 2 boys whose birthdays were approaching. I became a last-minute holiday shopper racing the clock. The staff, sensing my enthusiasm, matched it with their own. They gathered every treasure I pointed to, laughing with the same excitement I felt. And then, as if the desert itself had whispered in their ear, they offered everything at half price. I left the museum with my arms full of stones that remembered more than I ever could. Each gem, each fossil, each fragment of ancient earth felt like a continuation of the stories we had been walking through all day. Stories written not in ink, but in time. We stepped out of the Utah Field House with bags full of stones that remembered more than we ever could. The sky above Vernal was soft and blue again, as if the storm had never existed. But something had shifted, not in the weather, but in us. All day the desert had been speaking in its own language, in silence, in sand, in bones, in the shimmer of ancient minerals. Every trail, every museum hall, every gust of wind had been a chapter. And now, standing in the quiet of the parking lot, I realized the journey wasn't ending. It was asking to be gathered. The gems, the fossils, the fragments of deep time, they weren't souvenirs. They were anchors, each one holding a moment, a discovery, a whisper from the land. They needed a place to rest, a place to become story. And that's when I knew what came next. The boxes, the small handmade treasure boxes waiting back home. For the friends whose lives had brushed against this journey in ways they didn't yet know. The desert had given us its stories. Now it was time to pack the journey, carefully, intentionally, into the boxes that would carry those stories forward. The next chapter wasn't on a trail or in a canyon. It was at a table with paper and glue and quiet hands. A different kind of creation, a different kind of listening. Because some stories are walked, some are found, and some are crafted, folded into corners, tucked beneath lids, sealed with memory. And so the journey continues into the boxes that hold the tales,